Good evening. This is Paula, and I'm calling. I'm thinking before I say things. But this is we're coming to you. This is Ties That Bind, and we are here with you for another message. We have something else we want to say, and this is tonight. We're going into I guess we're going to call it. No, James, you had another thought about it. My thought, I just went with what I had when I started, but it's called The Joneses, trying to keep up with the Joneses. And we're always looking for the spiritual part of anything that we're getting involved in, because this is what keeps us going. Our spiritual part, when they tell us that our brains are only functioning at 10% level or the 2% level, it's because when you do your research, you'll find out it's because of that spirit that we have not tapped into. So our goal is not to teach religion, it's not to go against religion, because we have found that our foundation that we grew up in got us to the place that we are, and that every religion or everything that's out there is a piece of the puzzle. And so we're going to start tonight on what we're trying to do is the how, what, when, and why of trying to keep up with the Joneses. But before I start into that, I wanted to say a slight prayer, and my goal. I want to introduce James and Tiffany. James, can you do the prayer, or one of you all?
Go ahead, take care. I was prepared for one.
Oh, I should have told you. That's okay. But you all go ahead and introduce yourselves, and we can start.
Sure. I'm James. Pretty much I'm here to use myself as a tool, pretty much a bridge to bridge the gap between the differences that we have in our families and in our communities. Bless you. I believe that one day that we will see that our problems are more the same than different. And from there, we can finally become a family.
Yes.
All right, good evening, family. This is Tiffany, and I am known as the strategizer of the group. And my goal is to bring building blocks so that we can, as a family, rebuild our family, strengthen our family, and take that strength out to the community at large, to strengthen our community at large.
Yes, okay. This is good. And I'm the talker. James is the bridge. Tiffany is the strategizer. I'm the talker. So, what I had started, I was going one way when I started with this, but then I went back to my foundation, which is the Bible, and we don't want to take you all the way out, because what we were starting on is going to take a bit for us to get into it. But it's the Bible, the Word tells us not to compare ourselves with one another. And then you got to ask yourself, why? But you can see it if you pay attention. You can pay attention to what's going on around you, and you don't have to make the same mistakes. That's what I learned when I was in college. You want to do this, you want to do that, but then when you see someone else, other people doing it, and it didn't come out so white, so good, and it's just like, okay, that's something I don't want to have to go through. So at a certain point, I can look at Tiffany and say, I love that what she has on, and I'm maybe a size 12. Tiffany is a size 2. I can't wear what Tiffany can wear and not make it look the same. I'm going to have to do some changes. It's one thing me complimenting her and liking that because she's feeling comfortable in what she's wearing. She's comfortable where she is. And so it's that comfort that you're attracted to. It's that her confidence that you're attracted to. It's not so much of the dress. And I remember I had gotten to the point, because my mom would, we talk about our parents a lot, our family a lot, because this is what this is. This is a family meeting. We call it the Ties That Bind, but the subtext is the family meeting. We're having a family meeting, and we got that from our dad, who always had a meeting every week to let us know where we were going, and where we need to get better at. And I remember I thought, I cannot wear the stuff she's getting me because I had big boobs, and I wasn't the skinniest thing in the world, and I was fat. But it's just, well, no, that's not a good word to say anymore. I was pleasingly plump. And so I was like, I am sick of this. I had a long torso, I had big boobs, I had hips, and so I started sewing clothes. And what was mine, I said that about Danielle, but when I got a fashion, I would look at stuff. I went to the pattern store, and I would get the patterns, but I would get something. I like long clothes. And if it was short and it was still what I wanted, I would take it and lengthen the pattern. And then I started wearing it like I had a dress that it was long, it was down to the ankles. I've always liked long clothes. I should have been in another period. But instead of the buttons being in the front, I put them in the back. This lady complimented me and told me she liked it, blah, 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 blah. And next thing I knew, I told her I had made it. I sewed it. I told her what pattern it was. I didn't think anybody was going to go and sew it. She went and did the same thing. And I was just like, oh, my God. I never wore that dress again. That was just, it was too much for me. And I was just like, really? You don't have your own identity? And so this takes away from your spirit. This wastes your time. This is something you don't have to, instead of you taking your gift, because we are unique in our gifts. No one, I remember going places, I'm going to say this and I'm going to take it to James and Tiffany, and I'm a talker. And for whatever reason, people love me for whatever reason. It was that gift that came out of my voice. And people would always try to what is the word? What do you call it when people are trying to do what you do? Not compliment you. They're trying to make it seem like, copy, but there's another word for it. But, yeah, they tried to copy. And I remember going out there, and I walked out the door, and I had been talking to these people, and it was mostly men that came to the business, and I was the person that went out and did the solicitation and getting all the business there. And I walked in the door, everybody stood up and started clapping. Now, I'm getting nervous, and I'm just like, oh, my God, I'm looking down at the ground. I don't know what to do with that. I'm just doing what I do. Then everybody started trying to do what I do, but I'm just like, and they're sweating, and they're doing all this stuff, and I'm just like, it's not that big of a deal. We grew up doing this. You know, that's a difference. And you're trying to do, you can't compete with someone's gift. Right. And that's where we have to find out who and what we are. And that was where I wanted to start this out on. And I know that somebody was getting ready to say something, so I'm going to stop talking for a moment.
Well,
I'm going to let you all talk.
So a lot of our listeners know that I'm in the military, and one of my jobs that I do in the military, I teach resilience. And one part that I always teach that I like to start with is teaching people how to identify their personal strengths. And when people hear personal strengths, they automatically think, well, if I've got strengths, that I've got weaknesses. And though that's true, that's not what the focus is. You know, what we try to bring to the front of people's minds is that there are things that you're naturally good at. There's things that you naturally bring to the table, right? And if you identify those things, then you leverage those abilities so that you can easily move through space and easily talk to people and easily do these things. And when you operate outside of your strengths, then it becomes tedious. So you're talking about people that are like, they're trying to imitate you and they're like working hard and they're sweating is because they're not operating in their strength. They're trying to borrow your strength, your version of your strength instead of identifying their own strength. So as a people, and this is me kind of bringing you a little building block, one thing that I recommend is that you identify your own personal strengths. And there's a website that you can go to. And there's actually several that you can go to. A lot of universities use the same survey. It's the VIA. Okay, if you type in VIA and then type in personal strengths, it's a survey. It takes about 15 minutes, and it'll help you identify what things you're naturally good at.
Okay. So you said VIA. as in Delta, India.
Victor, India, Alpha. Victor, India, Alpha.
Gotcha.
Yes, if you just type in VIA and then put personal strengths next to it, it's a quick survey that anybody can take. It's free. You don't have to pay for it. And it'll help you identify what areas you're naturally strong at. So if you're naturally strong at being a loyal person, then you can use that. You can use that knowledge to leverage that ability so that you can maximize your potential. And like I said, it's not like a strengths versus weaknesses thing. It's just identifying those things that you're naturally good at so that you can use the least amount of energy to become the best version of yourself.
Right.
Got
I
you.
agree.
Got you. Yeah, and I'm gonna hit on that too a little bit. But I mean, I think one of the problems that we have here, as far as the educational system goes, it doesn't put people in a position to figure out who you are. For the most part. I mean, some people, they go through school with flying colors, and it's very, very easy for them. For me personally, it was very, very difficult. It was very boring for me to be in school. You know, I had a very short attention span, and it just really didn't work out for me that well.
Right.
So
so
saying that, right. So saying that, you have to. Sometimes you have to mimic people, especially if they're in a position that you want to be in. And I guess I play devil's advocate in a sense. I can also take an example from my cousin, who does hip hop, right? His name is Marcus, right? And one of the things that he told me that he used to mimic somebody, right? Because he wanted to be a rapper, so he used to mimic somebody until he started coming into his own and started having his own style. Rap. So sometimes I believe that's necessary, especially if you're trying to be in a place and you kind of have an idea of the direction that you want to go. You have to mimic the person that's already doing well within that realm. You know, some of us have to. Like, some of us naturally have a gift. You could say like LeBron James will naturally have a gift of playing basketball. You know, not to take away from who he is as far as his work ethic in the gym and all that stuff. But you have people who are also in the NBA who are not that good, but they have to work and bust their tails every single day, you know, to get in that position and to stay in that position. So I think that's one of the things that's important, you know, and I don't want to get people thinking like, yo, you know, if you see somebody that's doing something that you want to do, you know, don't mimic them. I want them to know that, yo, if you want to do something, mimic that person, and then eventually you'll come into your own and have have your own way of doing things.
But when I say, go ahead. I'm sorry.
But with the personality, I will agree with Tiffany with the personalities. That's one of the things I used to study. We used to study the personality traits of people, and there's actually a little thing called, what's the name of it? I want to say, we used to read a book called Think and Grow Rich. I was on a group over the telephone, and we would call people up and try to figure out what the personality type is. And that's good because you can kind of become a chameleon doing that, because you can kind of pick up what type of personality that person has, and then you can kind of mimic what they're doing, you know, to make them feel more comfortable. It's kind of like a sales technique, but go ahead.
It's an ice-breaking technique.
Yeah, but I think there's a difference in you watching someone and doing, let's just say this. How do I say? There's a difference in being envious of someone and trying to do exactly what they did. You've got to learn how did they get where if they're going to be your mentor, they can tell you how they got where they're going. And you can pay attention. You know, they don't have to say a word. You can know, and then it may not be, you might not want to do it just that way, but you know what he's doing is being successful. So I need to find out what made him doing that is successful. And that's why I say don't copy what someone is doing. You can pay attention to what they're doing. They can be your mentor.
So it's like the Bible calls it covetous.
Yes, that's the word
when you're coveting somebody. It's like you can admire somebody and you see something you like what they have, and maybe you want to try and emulate it. But when you covet somebody, you want what they have for yourself.
Right. Exactly.
It's like people that think that they can't shine without taking your light.
Mm-hmm.
Got you. Okay.
It comes from that type of mindset.
Yeah,
and that's not true.
The world is not big enough for everybody.
Right. Like you don't have to diminish. You don't have to diminish my light to brighten your glow.
Yes.
We both go together, then both of our glows will be brighter just by virtue of multiplication.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
You don't have to multiply. 1 + 1.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I'm sorry, James. I know we jumped in there. Huh?
Yeah, I know. It was something that he said that triggered me, but I didn't take a note, so I forgot what I wanted to say. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Now I was gonna go somewhere else, but James was getting ready to say something, but I had to say what I was, because I don't want the people out there to think that we're saying there's a thin line. That's exactly, and you put the hammer on the nail. That there's a thin line between covetousness and paying attention to what somebody's doing and knowing why they're successful and knowing why. You got to pay attention. You got to, out of all thy getting, get an understanding. And you can be behind them, but you don't have to. I remember I had this dream because I was running behind my mom, and she wanted me to do everything she wanted me to do. And I had this dream, and I was on you know what it was? I'm going to say this. You all don't know this. James knows this. James and I were, what's the name of that thing? Donkey Kong, Mario. We were freaks with Nintendo.
We were Nintendo freaks, yeah.
And
to say y'all were freaks is like it's not even strong enough for y'all were obsessed.
It was not. It was not. It was. I mean, we did not stop until we finished the game. And then after we did all that and working, I remember James was trying to get past Wendy, and anybody who knows Nintendo, Wendy was throwing the rings and stuff, and James said, "Oh, can you play it? You play it." Because, I don't know, James had to be like 3 or 4 years old. They always had that vernacular. They always knew how to talk. And he was just like, because I can't, you play Wendy, because I can't troll her. And I was just like, and I wanted to laugh at her. I didn't want him to feel bad. It was just so funny. And we had to keep going and going and going. Then we went from that monster to another monster. It's such is life. You get up once to hurdle, but then we got to the end, and they gave us 1,000,000 P powers. Anybody? Okay,
yep.
A P power for you.
I can't believe that y'all remember this.
I remember that. They gave us teleport whistles and all.
Y'all had so
many. It was unlimited.
Y'all had so many points that they stopped using numbers and were using symbols to show you how many points.
I know. Oh my God. That was just too funny. I think about that now, and I'm just like, thank God I got Nintendo because the Mario Brothers was the bomb digging the bomb plus tag. Then when they came out with that gorilla, what's the name of it? Donkey Kong. It was on. It was on with a bag of popcorn. But I'm saying that to say that I was in that Donkey Kong thing when they would go over the railroad tracks, and you had to jump over the railroad tracks and then get over that. It was broken at one point, and you had to find a way to jump over it and get to the other side. Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize it then, but it was me following my dad. She was turning, and she was doing all this stuff, and then I would always reach out too far, trying to follow behind her, and I would fall out. And I kept having that dream until I realized that God was telling me to take my own journey, to do this. Her journey is not my journey.
Right.
And that I couldn't do that. And when I realized why I was having that dream, to this date, I have not had it again. And so these are things, I'm sorry.
I was just reacting to your story. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's okay. But I had to stop laughing. I got tears in my eyes. James and I was just freaks for that.
That Mario 3 was a truth, boy.
It was crazy.
Mario 3 was the truth.
I mean, we're kind of taking a trip down memory lane, but y'all used to play to the point where I would just get up and go to bed because y'all would just play until the wee hours in the morning.
You would not into the game. You would play a little bit, and that was it. It was like, oh, bump that. And we would be in it. We would be, in the morning, we would get up, so try to play that game. We were going to beat that game. That was our goal. And then when we got the P-Powers, I was just like, what? This is it? Are you serious? I thought they were going to give us another game, and it was nothing. I was like, until now we got to fly over everything. But then there were little compartments that you can go in that you couldn't get to before because you couldn't keep the P-Power. Because they teach you the P-Power was going. You had to go through so many steps to get to the P-Power. And I'm saying this just like y'all know, but it was just, and it's such his life. And I look at that, and it really is. It was just like Pac-Man. It was just like, eat him up, eat him up, eat him up. When the ghost came together, you couldn't run. You couldn't run fast enough. They were going to get you unless you knew the route to get where you had to go. And you had to be on top. You had to know exactly what you're doing. So such is life. And so I'm going to say that I'm going to stop because I don't want to start laughing again. That was just too funny.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, it highlights a very important part. Like, it's great. Like James was talking about our cousin Marcus imitating another rapper while he developed his own style. And I think that, like you said, it's okay because you have to start somewhere. And if you are lacking direction, which a lot of us are in this society, lacking direction, it's okay to find somebody that you like and do what they're doing, dress how they're dressing, talk how they're talking, and get to know the people that they know, because that's how you kind of build your own network and develop yourself until you start to establish your own foundation. And then, just like in these video games that we're talking about, I mean, it's kind of a silly thing to talk about, but when you think about it, you had to use planning and strategy in order to get to the next level. And that's what it comes. That's the point that I think Paula is trying to make when she says such is life. Is you have to realize that all this is a game that we're playing. And in order to excel, you have to strategize and you have to plan.
And you're gonna fail sometimes.
Exactly. And you're gonna fail. You're gonna lose your P power, and you're gonna, lose your firepower and all that. And that's okay. You just take notes, and at the beginning of the next level, you know exactly what to do next time.
But you know what? But it's funny that we talk about this, and I mean, I guess we're kind of getting off subject, but I think it's hitting a real point that needs to be heard. But I used to play these games so hard that I would have dreams about them, and in my dreams it would show me how to beat the level or how to get past that certain thing. And, I think for us, when you want to get somewhere, you have to want it. You have to want it. I hear a lot of successful people say you have to want it more than you want to breathe. And at that point, that's exactly how I felt. And really that's the point that I really want to get back to, where it's just on my mind so much that I will dream about a solution to get past it. And I think that's what a lot of us want to a lot of us want to be in that place where we can get past this first little hump that we weren't able to get past,
Time. And you have to look at it is that when you said that it's like Jesus had told them the children were coming for Jesus to say something, and they were telling him, get away from here. He said, this is such as he said, this is unless you come to me as a little child, you can. And so what you just said was just what Jesus said. You're gonna have to get back to that. Not, you're an adult, but that frame of mind is learning how to be vulnerable. You know what I'm saying? It's not paying attention to anything around you. You could have cared less. Remember how the ice cream truck used to come? You could have cared less. Ding. James would jump off the porch, run through the door. It's like, where's this boy going? And I'm just like, now he going out there, he ain't got no money. By the time I get to the other side of the house and to catch him before he gets to the ice cream truck, Daddy had already heard it, because Daddy heard everything because he was the only child. That's what they did. And Daddy out there giving them $5 for him to go out there to get, what you want to get, son? Yeah, you go out there. He just wants something. I'm just like, Daddy, we know this. We know what are you talking about? But Daddy was dead serious. I mean, it was just, that's where, and that is a lesson within itself.
It is, because you got to have that. It's that fire. I mean, he was a child, right? But he had tapped into that fire, that determination that there was no barrier that was going to stop him from getting between him and that rocket pop or whatever it was. He's very. Right. I have my one thing that I like, but he always liked different things. But it was nothing going to stop him between, from getting to the ice cream man. He was going to jump in front of all the other 20 kids that was up there, and he was going to throw his $5 up there, and he wasn't even going to wait for change. He was going to get what he wanted and then run back.
No, sure. I mean, it was so funny. I mean, we were talking about James. Now, Tiffany had her own little personality, but James was, because he was such a rambunctious, and he and I were talking about this the other day, and this may seem like we're getting off a topic, but this is, what about you trying to, we don't want to be a carbon copy of somebody else's talk show. We want to be
It's all about
talk show.
Finding that fire within yourself, that childlike fire. To get to that goal, whatever that goal is, whatever it is that's on that ice cream menu for you that you're trying to get to, that level of ambition, that level of desire, that level of passion, that's what you have to identify. And I really think, I typed it, I see somebody else typed it, we should do an episode where we talk about this VIA and tap into it, and I can, do a whole little lesson on that and help people identify, what it is that they're good at so that they can use that leverage that when they're trying to tap into that next level goal that they're trying to get to. But that's what it's all about. I mean, we're using these anecdotes, and they're funny and they're simple, but they're really huge when you actually sit down and think about what it is we're actually trying to say. And I hope that that's getting through.
Right.
Yes, and we have to look at that's what the Bible is doing. Everybody wants to make it to be this big, this big, huge thing. It's just like we're trying to do what's that hard mathematics? I know it was hard for me to get through that in college. It was trigonometry. It's like we're trying to do trigonometry on something that we could really be doing 1 + 1, but we want to make it more difficult. I was sitting there thinking, we're in America, what we do is we put the goal up so high and it's to the point where no one can reach it. And then the ones who that we think have reached it, they end up losing their mind and committing suicide. Because and then you'll find out in their diaries, I was eating one glass of water. I was drinking 1 glass of water a day to stay a size 0, and it was just. And then when they stopped doing that and stopped throwing up, they had, what's that thing when you throw up all the time, and then bulimia. They go from bulimia to anorexia, and it's just we are trying to reach a goal, and it's just like when Jennifer Lopez came out and she had that booty. And I remember watching, the one that Barbara Walters was on there, The View. And who was it that was on there? She's not on there anymore. But she was just like, I don't even know how she walks around with that thing. And I'm just like, what the hell that's supposed to mean? But they'll make it seem like it's something horrible, but what she was doing is she was studying it, and then we're sitting there trying to put girdles on and squeeze our booties in and trying to do this, and that. And now we can't beat them into the doctor's office spending thousands of dollars to get
to have the same look.
Booty implant. Yeah, that same look. That
get butt shots and all that stuff.
Around like it. Huh?
It goes back to the mythical beast Kanye West. When he talks about the mindset of the system, they teach you to hate yourself and love their wealth. It's the same type of thing.
Exactly.
They plant those seeds in your head, and maybe this is divergent from our point, but they plant those seeds in your head.
Trying to keep up with the Jones.
To make you hate what it is about you that makes you great. They make you hate it, and then before you so that you give it away for free, and then the next thing you know, they've taken what you had innate and born with, that thing that you were born with. They rebrand it, package it, and they sell it back to you and take everything you got for
and say it is beautiful. It is a beautiful booty.
That's it. They just totally usurp the whole thing, and that's something that we have to learn, and that's why it's important to learn to love yourself and not keep up with the Joneses in a sense, because the Joneses is getting all this stuff from you,
exactly.
And so now you see, like I said, you see all these people trying to get all these butt shots. People are literally injecting melanin into their skin, just to be darker. And these are all traits Right. These are traits that you already possess, you know,
Yes.
and you just have to look
But
within
they told
yourself.
you your dark skin was horrible. Yeah.
Right. And we're, like I said, we're trying to keep up with this stuff, and I think some of the reason, not a lot of it, but some of the reasons, because you don't know what we have created already in this country that's already being sold back.
Yes.
That's already being sold back to you, like the refrigerator, like the telephone, you know, like
because we created
the thousands of hair products and things like that.
Thousands of hair products, all this stuff you already had, you already made it, but you know, for some reason, you know, we keep giving our stuff away. That way they could take it, use it, glorify it, right? Well, make it seem like it's nothing. Then they take it, glorify it, then sell it back to us 10 times more expensive than what we sold it to them for.
Exactly. And then we go and our foolish self. Now, Michelle K, Michelle, I don't know what her name was. She was on this some Atlanta show. And she goes out there. Now she got cancer. She don't know what she's gonna do with herself. You're gonna go out there. You already had a what they call it, a peach or apple or whatever kind of booty that was. You already had a booty, and then you're gonna go out there and make it bigger because they have to be bigger and better than what you had. That's what the whole point is. And then you sit there and you go out there and kill yourself for something you already had. I call it the Esau syndrome. You will sell your birthright for a bowl of soup. Yes, something that's going to be gone out your stomach, and this is where we are. And we sit there and we talk about this, and I know this all came down the pike of James and I in those games, but Tiffany had her little thing. You know, but she didn't know. This is what children do. She did not think about. She wasn't thinking about her hair, but Tiffany wanted her hair to be a certain way. She wanted her clothes to be a certain thing. If you got her something, it had to match. It had to do this, that, and the other. James was a rambunctious little boy. Tiffany was a girly girl, and it was just you had this stuff, and we and I remember her, and I laugh about this because we were watching, was it Saturday Night Live? Saturday Night Live used to be really good. They've gotten some shows that are really good now. And it was this group was on there. They were singing Bad. Bad to the bone. Tiffany had her little T-shirt on, and she heard that song. She got up there on the thing, and she was just doing it, and she was singing that. She couldn't sing the bad. She said bad. Bad. It was just too funny. But she's always been that way. And these are gifts that you have had since you were born. You know what I'm saying? James, I remember when we brought James home, and I was like, because his mom used to scream a lot. I say about his mom because she really wanted to be on the podcast tonight. I didn't send her the stuff because she wanted to just be there and listen, but not say anything. And I was just like, that doesn't make any sense. If you're going to be on there, you got to say something. Now, I don't want to say anything. So, but I say that because she gave birth to you guys. You guys were there, and this because of her. You know what I'm saying? And your dad. And so we're sitting there, and we're looking at this, I think, and all this time I've been asking God, how do I surrender? Just go back to the child that you were. Stop paying attention to what other people are saying. You know what I'm saying? I can think about James. I can think about Tiffany. They could have cared less what anybody else had to say. It was what they wanted. You know? And it was, I. And sometimes when you talk, because when you're talking, you're not really just talking to other people. That goes to you first before it goes to anybody else. And I got that. Yeah. When I said that, I remember James could have cared less. And I remember when who was that came to the Bordeaux Mall, and
it was Boyz II Men. It was Boyz II Men.
Yes, and I was just like, we don't have nowhere to.
I said I'll never forget that.
Yeah, because you were scared, and then James was like, I'll go, and I was just like, well, and I was scared for you to go, for Tiffany to go, but then I was even more afraid for James to go because he was a little boy. And I'm thinking
he was like 5. Like at that time, I think I was 8 or 9, and he was like 5.
Yeah, I think you were younger than that. Well, you may have been. I don't remember ages. I see people in dispensations. I see different things when I see people. You always just little old people to me. But James, and I was just like, okay, now I asked the guy to go in there and check on him. I said, because I'm thinking you're not gonna know what you're doing. James knew exactly what he was doing. He gonna go in there, and the man said, oh, he all right. He walked me back outside. He told them, the boy said, you want to get my autograph? And James said, no, I want his autograph. He didn't want the one that was trying to get his autograph. And it was like, I was like, what? I was like, and he was happy. He could have cared less for the Bev, the Naboo. He wanted the other one. That's what he wanted. Whoever it was we were going to see. And it was just too cute. And that's what we have to be, all about your business. It's like Jesus told his mom, we've been looking for you. Where have you been? Here and there, and they're talking with the priests and stuff, arguing with them, telling them what's right and wrong. You can't tell me blah, 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 blah. And they was just like, we've been looking for you everywhere. Where you been now? You know what we would have done? We'd have beat his behind. You know,
right? I wish people would tell that story appropriately because they kind of skim over. You got to think about the level of emotion that his parents must have felt, knowing that there's a census going on. Everybody across the nation has converged on this one small city, and your 10-year-old son has just disappeared.
Yeah, I think it was for like it was more than a day. And they went around there looking for him.
They were looking for him, and preachers skim over that. They don't really convey the emotion because it's important to the story for you to understand. Like his parents were putting out an Amber Alert for him.
Yeah, exactly.
And when they found him in the synagogue, they were like, "What are you doing? I've been worried about you. I've been looking for you." And he's looking like, "What you think I'm doing? I'm doing my father's business. I'm doing what I came here to do.
All about my father's business. And
I'm doing what I came here to do."
And that's the way kids are. And that's the way you and James were. And that's the way that you were when you were children. We take that out of them. You know, and I was watching the show the other day, and I was, and the woman said, she said, well, you know, she was, it was Michelle from the, what's the name of that group? Beyonce was in there. But
Michelle Williams.
Yeah. And she was on there, and she was talking to another. She's getting ready to get married. She was to a Caucasian guy, but he was just straight. He was just good. He was just a good guy, but he was scared of her because she had went to the mental hospital, and he was just like, now she just went ballistic. She threw the phone, but they were sitting there talking, and she said, well, I keep telling him that you can say that because you're a white man. She said, well, you can't say that until you walk in my shoes. And the woman said, yeah, that's true. She said, I see little white children running around the restaurant, putting their hands in food. She said, but as a black kid, we can't do stuff like that. And that's really true. Yeah. And then we have to be our children's protector. I had to do that when I was with Madison and Xavier. And this white guy would always walk up and want to high five Xavier. I said, Xavier, don't you give another man high five. I said, and if he says something to you, he's not supposed to be talking to you. He's supposed to be talking to me. I said, so if don't worry about, and then what they did was we went into Sam's. And the first thing it did, somebody went, oh, they're so cute. He give me a high five. And then both of them heads turned around, looked at me. I was like, he's not going to give you a high five. I said, he can shake your hand. Oh, okay. Why are you going to give him a high five? You don't give that little white boy a high five. What is that? That's crazy. Because that's you putting them in a what do you call it? In a hole. And you can only get this big. It's just like a fish. The fish gets as big as the bowl that you put them in.
Right.
And that's what they really want to do. And if we don't protect ours, then no one else is. I remember Aunt Jean said something, and I got mad at her for saying it because we were talking about Aunt Bernice's kids, which were, everybody have a black, they were for whatever reason, they distance themselves from us, and they always felt like we were doing something to them or whatever. And Jean came down there and she said, "Oh, you all can't come down here. Go home to your mama and let your mama give you something to eat, because your mama don't care about you. Nobody else don't care about you." I'm just like, "Hey, Jean, why would you say that?" Oh, I'm calling her name. But it's just true. I'm not saying something that's not true. And so if you don't take care of yours, nobody else is going to take care of yours. And so that's even if you got $1, you got to take care of that $1. God, just like the 5 of the ones who were, there was one that was wise, one that had one talent, one that had 3 talents, one that had 10. And one of them, that one had the one went and buried his talent in the ground. And God said, "You could have done so much more. You could have taken it to the bank and got interest off of it. You didn't even do that." So we have to be a good steward over what God has placed us and where we place us, because then what you're doing is proving to God that you're able, ready, willing, and able to do what He's telling you to do. And if you have done your studies. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
There's a level of boldness that you have. One of the things that I experienced, so in my military career, I've had 2 professions. My first profession was a logistician, that's like supply, and my second profession is a military police, so law enforcement. And when I came into, when I was in as a logistician, because the Army, and I don't know how intentional it is. I'm sure there's some, I'm sure there's some intention behind it. But when you look at certain job fields, you can see that there's some that are women-dominated, some that are black-dominated. You can definitely see there's definite color lines that exist, right? So when I came into the military police corps, especially at the time that I did, I was always the only black woman. Usually the only woman, and definitely the only black woman. And I had the hardest time adjusting, because it's like they have this idea of who they want you to be. You're either the angry black chick, or you are, you masculine, borderline, homosexual, and they won't let you be anything else. But I'm not like that. I'm a mellow person. I don't get upset very easily. I don't walk around with an attitude, because this is not who I am. I'm just kind of a mellow person. I'm a slow burn. I don't get upset easily. That's just who I am. Right. And I'm also a girly girl, and I'm going to get my nails done, get my hair done, that kind of thing. And they looked down on me because I didn't fit into their 2 versions of a black woman that they had approved, And I say this to say this. This was now about 10 years ago, and all those people that were hard on me and denying me opportunities because I wouldn't be what they dictated for me to be, those people have all fallen away. They're no longer in the military. Some of them got out honorably, some of them dishonorably. But my point is, I persevered and stuck to who I am, the core of who I am, instead of trying to be what I'm not, instead of trying to force me into a mold. And now I'm successful. In my career. I can hold my head up and I can look back and say that I went through all that and I made it. And now that the face of the MP Corps has changed, now they're, I'm not the only black person. I'm not the only black woman. I can be a role model to those younger women that are coming up behind me that can see, you can be a womanly woman in law enforcement without having an attitude and be successful. So that's true. It's important for people to be true to who they are.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. I definitely agree with that. Being who you are and letting that shine, and I think that's huge to let people realize that you don't have to be, especially when it comes to women in the workforce. They are always putting on, and it's not just in their defense. To a certain degree, it's not just them trying to put you in the box all the time. A lot of this stuff is what they see and what they believe. Now, so when they see this stuff, they expect you to act accordingly, because everybody, especially in our community, feels like they have to act and be a certain way in order to get by. They have to be, they have to be hood and ghetto, just to get your way. So be like, y'all, I'm gonna fight you, cussing people out, all this other stuff just to get what you want. And sometimes you might have to be like that growing up in certain neighborhoods. You have to grow up like that, growing up in the hood. That's what you have to do to get by. You have to put on a different face for every place that you go. So so with that and what Tiffany's saying, I feel like we're not trying to compete with the rest of the world. I think a lot of black folks are pretty much content with this face that we have been given, and like I said, at this point, it's not just a face that we've been given. We're actually acting out in this way. You know, we're acting this stuff out because we're getting to the point that we believe this stuff wholeheartedly. You know, so this is why it's going to take just a few people, you know, to actually get out there and shine, figure out what it's like to be themselves, you know, in order for us to start to compete with what's going on with the rest of the world, you know. Because you have people coming in from all over the place, right, that are running to this country, you know, to get a better start, you know, from whatever method they came from. And a lot of these people are being successful at it. Now, I'm not saying that we all have the same things that's going on, okay, because we don't have the same things going on. Like, we black folks here in America do not know the history, you know, and we don't have a home to go back to, or, you know, pretty much a home base, you know, to depend on, or to have money being sent to us. We don't have that here. So our circumstances are different. But we have to get to the point where we have to start competing, you know what I'm saying? And not just keeping up with the Joneses, actually getting into this race. Because now we have Latin America that's building up here in America, that's outdoing black people that have always been here. You know, these are immigrants coming in here, and we've been here, you know, since our ancestors were brought over here, you know. So, and this is actually one of the reasons that me personally, I wanted to go to Africa, you know, to start having that connection from here in America, and also back there in Africa, actually have that pipeline to go back to, because this is where all the resources are in the world. This is where the most plentiful resources are at in the world. And we have to start to get ourselves attached to that, because right now we have people, again, from all over the world going into Africa and using these resources, right? That and taking it back home to whatever country that they come from. And we have to get to the point that we're going to do the same thing. Like I said, we don't have to keep up with the Jones. We need to get our foot in the race at this point, because we got Chinese people. Right, exactly, because we got Chinese people all over the world. They got Chinese people in Africa right now. They got Chinese people in Hawaii right now. They got Chinese people all over the place, and they are constantly studying people, learning how they do things, and then implementing their style into these places that they're going into. And we need to start to learn how to do that.
That's what we were talking about earlier. You take your gift, you can watch how they do things and learn the system, just like Moses did. He learned the system, but he wasn't a part of them, even though they didn't know that. And so we have
that's
to
another.
At our go ahead.
I was going to say that's another story that is glossed over in the Bible. In church, they gloss over it and they hit certain points, but they don't really. And I don't want to steal your point, so don't lose your point. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to turn it back over to you. But people don't realize what Moses was given by growing up in that royal palace, because he was always a Jew. He always knew he was a Jew, and he even knew what tribe he came from. He knew all that, but he still was given access. He was still given access, and so that's what we have. So, you know, we have these things that we're starting to, as people, learn who we are, and we have access. We just have to take advantage of what we've got. You know, we can take these skills, take these things we've been given, and build these skills so that we can do like he did, and take this ability that he had developed back to his people to help deliver them out of the situations that they were in.
And that's so true. And we read it and we don't. It's just like, oh, this is so boring. This is so no. Just don't try to read the whole thing. Get you a chapter. Get you a story, and read that story, and then do the background on it, and then get out of all of our reading, everything that you do, out of all of your getting, get an understanding of why it's doing what it's doing. And we're gonna have to, as people, learn this and grow up and be what God called us to be. Stand up in that power that God gave you, because it's there. You can either misuse it, or you can use it for good. You can use it for bad. And right now, a lot of us are just using it for bad, because if you're not using it for good, it has to be for the bad. Because if you're not using that to grow and to help somebody else grow, and then stop that, oh, I don't know who she thinks she is. No, you don't know who she thinks she is. You're not in her head. So that's your gift? You know you read people's mind? What is that? Stop that foolishness. Yeah. And just pay attention. And we got to teach this to our children. We got to teach this to even the older people. You know, people, sometimes when you get to a certain point, people are hard to learn. But Pharaoh, he learned it was a little bit too late when he was turned into that sea. But he could have stopped when the son when his son died. He could have stopped when the frogs came. He could have stopped before that. God gave him ample opportunity. These are lessons. God is going to give you chances. These are lessons. And so you got to see what's going on in this United States or in the world right now. And you got to compare that to what God has been telling us and what the ancient Egyptians had put in there in the tombs and stuff, what they have been telling us from the beginning. And everybody else was going on over there. When I was even in Africa, I was the first African American they had ever met. But I was so blessed to even get there for that lady. Huh? Say that again?
Say what?
Oh, I thought you were talking to me.
I heard it, but I don't know what it was. Yeah,
oh, okay. But it's you have to respect. And I remember her just waiting for me to ask her questions. And she didn't want to go over. She wanted me just to ask and listen and take what I had to. And she was saying, what I was just like, so what do you call them? She was giving me these names, and I was just like, oh, he told me his name was so and so. Well, they call that's his Christian name, but his something name. I said, like a nickname, a nickname. I said, we call them nicknames. It's just like a little fun name, who and what you are when in the States. That's what he says. Yes, and then so she was looking at me, and I didn't want to ask, but I did want to ask. I don't want to be untoward. And I was just like, well, who do they say that I am? Because she was waiting for me to ask her that. And she said, they call you Komushana. And I was just like, okay, y'all making fun of me? You know, I'm thinking this. And she was just like, no, it means a light giver. And see, these are things that you should have somebody's here that's imparting that, the wisdom sector is imparting that to the children, but we've got kids calling them, well, you're just old. You know, stop. Teach your children how to be respectful. Right. It'll be long for you. You know what I'm saying? And when she told me that, it set me on a path to where I am right now. That I remember I was getting a lot of money, and I had a lot of money, but to me, nothing would surpass what God was to me, you know. And I'm just like, and I started feeling that hole in my heart, and I was just like, God, what am I doing? And I had gotten so far from Him, and I had to get myself back. That money is a sneaky little demon. You have to be able to know what you're doing, and it's not that it's the money, but when you start to get it, your mind changes. And I realized that it was love. You know, I was loving the money. I was trying to figure out where I was going to put it, how I was going to make it grow, how I was going to let somebody keep it. I was doing all of this. And we have to be very, very careful. That's why you have to get on your knees. That's why what it is to get on your knees. Well, you see them bow with their heads up, surrendering to God and telling Him, it's you. I want you. You know, and that's where this is why we're doing what we're doing. And this is what we want them to see, because God is everything. You know, He's everything. Right. You know, and I'm saying this, and we're like 4 minutes before the time is out, but I know you were getting ready to say something, James.
No.
Okay.
No, I forgot it.
I'm sorry. We get so caught up. I'm a talker. The strategizer didn't say nothing to me. We was in the bridge. He kept building another bridge, and I kept going over it. So, but it was a total blessing to even be here with you all and to share our stories, and we have so many other stories that we could tell you guys, and no, they won't be believed, but this for real. But I'm going to hand it over to them. There's a truth in everything. I think it's hard for people to believe they'd rather believe a lie than believe a truth. But we're going to tell you the truth. That's our goal to do here, is to put everything out on the table and to let it be known, because God is so much bigger than what we allow him to be. And for that, I thank him. And so I'm going to turn this over to James and Tiffany and let them have the last words. And we're going to say thank you for listening to us tonight, and we hope you visit us again. James, Tiffany.
Go ahead, Tiffany.
Okay. Well, thank you, family, for joining us. I hope, again, as always, that we were able to give you some things to chew on, open your mind a little bit, and help you think about some things in a different way. And one thing that I want to leave you with, especially tonight, is your energy. And when I'm talking about energy, I'm not talking about energy drinks and, that feeling you get after you've had a cup of coffee. What I'm talking about is the energy that you bring into a situation, because that can determine whether you succeed or whether you fail. So I want you to pay attention over the next week while we plan our next meeting. Pay attention to the energy that you bring to the table when you enter into a situation, because that, like I said, that energy can determine whether or not you are successful or whether or not you fail.
I agree.
That's it. Yeah, so I just want to have a last words with the family. At some point, we got to realize that people see the black class as nothing right now, okay?
Right.
And it is very important for us to get into the game and get some skin into the game right now.
Yes.
There's absolutely no reason for you to depend on a system, right, that you feel like it's not working for you, right?
Exactly.
So, and I'm saying this because you have to get your head out the clouds and start to pull yourself up by the bootstraps, so to speak.
Yes.
You have to start doing things for yourself, because a lot of people believe right now that this country's gonna go into an economic crash real soon.
Yes.
Real soon. And you need to find your place in the world and find out what you stand for. Again, like the things I'm trying to do right now, the reason I'm trying to go to Africa is because I'm trying to get a home base somewhere where I know whatever I start will not be usurped by other cultures. We have, it's a predominantly, where I'm trying to go is a black country, black land owned by black people. And the only people that I want to get credit for this is other black people when I start creating things over there, because we have to start somewhere, and it might not be done by the time I die, but somebody has to take a first step. We all have to take a first step. Now, this is not a microwave type of situation. It didn't take us overnight or even 40 or 50 years just to get us in the conditions that we're in now. Okay.
Yeah.
Our people went through hundreds of years of slavery in order to get us in this state, and even more so with the propaganda and all this other stuff that's going on to control our minds, and education, all this stuff to control our minds, right? But one thing about our people that has always been true is that we have always overcome whatever situation that has been put in front of our face, all right? And it may take time. It may take a long time, but we will overcome this situation as well, because that's just who we are. That's who we are built to be. But we have to start, and it's just not going to come just by wishing it to come. You have to put the boots on the ground. You have to take the first step, and that's all I have to say.
Yes, I agree, and there's nothing else to be said behind that. We bless you. We ask God to put a shield over you, to open up your mind, to open up your heart, so his spirit can get it in there to you, and for you to take another step. And for this, we say adieu. We say good night to you, and be blessed. Good night.
Night.